Good evening and welcome to World Talks. As we've just explained, more than 80,000 Ukrainian children are set to start attending Polish schools in this academic year. Will the schools and students be able to handle such a challenge? To discuss some of this, I am joined by Dominik Kuc, GrowSPACE Foundation. Good evening, sir. Great having you with us.
Good evening.
So, what are some of these challenges that prevented Ukrainian students from attending Polish schools before?
First of all, the obligation was introduced for this school year, and we have to say that from past 2.5 years, we don't know what exactly happened to the children and adolescents that were in the Polish community. So we had the Ukrainian community, Ukrainian children. They probably attended Ukrainian education system online, but whether it was regular attending or only on paper, we don't know. So the first issue is that we don't know really what happened to those children. Right now they are joining Polish education system from tomorrow, because tomorrow they will start first lessons, and many barriers are occurring right now, because we see that they of course have a language barrier. They also have different mental health issues after this time, but also it is a question of different curricula between Polish education system and Ukrainian education system.
Right, so how will this be done in practice? Will they attend separate classes? Will there be separate groups, perhaps a translator? What's going to happen in order to help them integrate into this environment?
In most cases, there will be an additional places in the classroom of Polish children, so they will be joined by their Ukrainian colleagues. Only in 20 municipalities there will be continued or started separate classes, so-called preparatory courses for Ukrainian children. And I have to say that it is a good way to integrate, because the aim of this change is, of course, to have more integration, to build intercultural relations between Ukrainian minority and the Polish community at school. So additional places in the classroom is a good option, but it still requires a lot of help. For example, of intercultural assistants. It is a new position that is introduced to the Polish system. These are not teachers. It is separate position to be an intercultural assistant in a Polish school system. But for now, only 71 municipalities have planned to do so, to introduce this position to the schools. We hope that this number will increase further in the school year.
But what about, let's say, placement tests? You said that the educational history of some of these kids is not clear, right? So how do we know their level of knowledge, right? I mean, will they sort of undergo some tests? Or?
Well, it is not determined, because right now it is an obligation for them to attend the Polish school. So
right, but which grade, for instance, right? I mean, are in the, a finalist, or perhaps they should be moved a grade lower because of their knowledge level, right?
Well, it is not determined at the very beginning. It is, of course, a transition from Ukrainian system, but because we don't know exactly what happened in this online Ukrainian system, we cannot have a clear transition to the Polish system as well. So it will be determined also by the teachers. The only exception is for those children who would have to write the final exams in a primary or secondary school. They do not have to do so, because of course they will not be prepared in 1 year time. So it is an exception for that. But in most cases it will be the age of the students that will determine the grade that will attend afterwards. But of course, perhaps there will be situations where they need to repeat some of the courses or so, but because we don't know the background for now, right, it is hard to state for now.
Right, and your foundation prepared a report for Polish schools a while back, for schools which are sort of for students and schools who are returning to a normal, ordinary classroom study after the COVID-19 pandemic and their online studies. And there were some guidelines, right, for both students and teachers. What were these, and could these be also applied to this situation?
Of course, because many of Ukrainian students, they did have the online lessons, the online school for more than those 2.5 years, because before there was a pandemic time. So the estimations are that even 4 or 5 years of online education, it can be a record for a Ukrainian child joining right now the education system. It is a very big period. So of course we need to have a clear transition to this in-person learning, and the main solution is of course to provide the mental health support. And we have to state that the mental health issues, mental health problems that Ukrainian children and adolescents could have are quite different from those that the specialists were used to in the Polish schools. So, for example, it is war trauma, which the specialists in Polish schools, school psychologists, couldn't cope with for now because it was not needed. But right now, it is an issue, and we need to search also for psychologists, for example, that are also speaking Ukrainian language fluently, which is not at the highest rate. Only 24 of municipalities have planned to hire a teacher or a psychologist from Ukraine that will speak fluently. So I would say those issues are related, and of course the mental health problems will be probably the ones that will be the biggest.
Right, absolutely. So it seems like a major challenge, and I wonder what were the arguments for this to happen?
I would state that this decision is a very good one, despite all the issues being discussed right now, because this decision is delayed for those 2.5 years. The decision to introduce and integrate Ukrainian children and adolescents in Polish school, give them equal chances and also the integration contact, peer-to-peer contact in a school, which is needed for basic socialization and building relations between their peers and so on. This decision is delayed. It is the question of 2.5 years of counting for the Ukrainian education system and leaving those children behind the Polish.
Right, but wouldn't that be an additional stress, an additional challenge for these kids who already experience quite a lot?
It is an obligation also for our educational system to cope with them, because if we at least know what the problems are in the education system, we can have a diagnosis and then cope with the problems, mental health issues, language barrier, didactic measures. But we need to have the diagnosis, and without introducing Ukrainian children into the Polish system, it wouldn't be possible, because otherwise the children would stay behind the education system and then attend afterwards the university as international students, despite the fact that they were in Poland for quite a long time. They could have been also the students on the Polish level at the university. So it is the question of unifying the systems. And yes, it has the problems. It has the issues also for the Ukrainian minority as well. But it is a decision also supported by the Ukrainian organization, by Stand With Ukraine Foundation, but also the other Ukrainian diaspora organizations.
It may seem quite daunting for some of these kids, I can imagine at least, right? Trying to learn in a foreign language, a foreign curriculum. But we were discussing students and their potential, the issues they may be facing. But what about the teachers? What are Polish teachers saying? Is that a challenge for them?
It is a great challenge for Polish teachers because they are not prepared for this, although they also seem to support the decision in general in terms of the obligation, but in terms of preparations, Polish school is not that much prepared for the intercultural activities, for example. Therefore, we need intercultural assistants, which are not teachers, but separate persons that will help the teachers. There will be also a position called supporting teachers for those who have different educational barrier and they need to have additional support. So we don't want to leave teachers alone, of course, but there will be also help from the non-governmental organizations which can provide materials how to talk with the Ukrainian children, how to mention different topics on the classroom. Of course, we will know that from tomorrow, because it is tomorrow when first lessons will start in Polish schools.
Right, and how are these Ukrainian children allotted to particular schools? Is it on the basis of the residence, or how are they?
It is based on the residence that they are signed for particular schools. Usually, their parents are calling the schools and searching for a free place in particular schools, because these are the persons that already have been, for example, for those 2 years.
Is there enough places for all of the people who may want to follow that path?
Because of the changes in the law that were introduced by the Ministry of Education, additional places were created. So the places are present. It is rather the question of our estimations, because ministry and NGOs were estimating on about 20 to 30,000 of children. But in August, we already have known that there will be at least 80,000 sign-ups for Polish schools. It is more than the estimation have shown. So there will be a great challenge, and to be honest, we will also know the final number of Ukrainian children at the end of September, when the schools will update their organization papers.
Right, and because of your organization deals with psychological health, mental health, my last question to you would be, if you were to give some advice to both teachers and students, what would that be? Perhaps some of them are watching.
For teachers, of course, to listen and hear the needs of the community, and to try to cope with different conflicts, different situations that may occur. And for the students, not to be afraid, because the help can be reached. The help will be spread by the municipalities and particular schools, and they I fingers crossed for having at least one person of trust in their schools.
I guess both of these groups have to be brave, both teachers and students, but fingers crossed everything will go well. I'm not sure if it will go smoothly, but hopefully it will go well. Dominik Kuc, thank you, sir, for being with us. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Please stay tuned for more here on TVP World.